This episode of the Superfan Podcast was recorded just before the news broke about Billy Joel's diagnosis with normal pressure hydrocephalus, or NPH. Everyone here at the Superfan Podcast expresses our deepest hopes that Billy will make a full recovery.
Over the years, like, the thing that I've come to love about Billy more than his creativity is just who he is as a person. And you know, when I look back on when I met him, because I was such a blithering idiot, I never got the chance to really say that he's inspired me, not just as a writer, but also as a person. Like I conduct my life and certainly my business the way he's conducted himself.
You just heard from this week's guest. I'm Christian Gossett.
I'm Kris Simon.
And I'm David Hyde.
Welcome to the Superfan Podcast, where the people who make the comics you love talk about the things they love that aren't comics. Thank you as ever to Low and the Shag for our theme song. This week's episode is brought to you by Fanbase Press and Superfan Promotions. Our guest this week is Marc Guggenheim. Marc grew up in Long Island, New York, and earned his law degree from Boston University. After 4 years in practice, he left law to pursue a career in television. Today, Marc is an Emmy Award-winning writer, writes for multiple mediums, all the mediums, television, film, video games, comic books, new media, what have you. His work includes projects for such popular franchises as Percy Jackson, Star Wars, Call of Duty, Star Trek, Planet of the Apes. He's also a novelist. His most recent novel is In Any Lifetime. Marc lives in California with his wife, 2 daughters, and a whole lot of pets. Keep up to date on his latest projects with Legal Dispatch, a weekly newsletter where he shares news and notes about writing, comics, and the entertainment industry. And today, Marc Guggenheim is here to talk about his love of Billy Joel. Let's just jump right into it. You grew up, you've been a fan of Billy Joel since what age? How old? When did it begin for you?
I was a fan since 1977. I was 7 years old. Now, you have to understand something. Growing up on Long Island, there's actually a local ordinance that requires you to love Billy Joel. It's like illegal in Long Island not to like Billy Joel. But that being said, I came to Billy Joel by mistake. Growing up, on the East Coast where I was living, carpooling was a big thing. Carpooling to school was a big thing. And there was a parent who would have this radio station on, and there was this song, I forget what song it was. It might have been Copacabana, but I really love that song. And I'm like, oh wow, I really like this artist, Billy Joel. Now, thankfully, it turned out that Billy Joel did not record Copacabana. And I could have, there's another world, there's a sliding doors universe where I'm a huge Barry Manilow fan.
Right.
I was in summer camp and I was telling this friend of mine about how much I love this song and how much I love this artist. And he's like, that's not Barry Manilow, that's Billy Joel. I'm like, Billy Joel? And I forget exactly who first played it for me, but eventually I heard My Life, which was a single off of the 52nd Street album. And I told my dad about it, and my dad actually went out and bought me, I'm going to really date myself here, like I haven't already with the 1977.
Please.
He got me an 8-track cassette.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
So you may need to explain to your listeners what an 8-track cassette is. But basically it's the audio equivalent of a carved stone tablet. And my dad bought me this tape, and oh my God, I just loved it. I just devoured it, and I was hooked ever since. I was 7 years old.
For those of you that want to see what an 8-track is, there's a Charlton Heston movie called The Omega Man, and he uses an 8-track in his car. So you can just YouTube that, and you'll see.
I probably got the year wrong. It was probably 1978. It's probably 1978, not 1977. That's
all good. Because he started 73 or even earlier.
He started Cold Spring Harbor. His first album came out in 1972.
That's fantastic. I got to get something out of the way here also. So I wanted to thank you, Marc, because you gave me the opportunity to talk about something very dear to me, which is the Catalina wine mixer from Step Brothers.
Wait, what?
Did you see Step Brothers?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
Okay. There's a scene, the climactic scene of Step Brothers with Will Ferrell and that other fantastic comedian.
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly completely has to do with Billy Joel. And
really? Oh my God. I love it. Okay.
Billy Joel is the crux of the climax of that film. So we'll leave
I gotta check. Okay, now I'm gonna check it out.
I can't wait.
I only watch movies that have to do with Billy Joel, really. So, like Hangover Part 2.
That can't be true. You only watch movies that have to do
No.
Challenge.
Okay.
There's not a lot of Billy Joel out there in movies.
But there's a lot of Billy Joel out there in TV, actually. You get.
Yes, there is, and I'm responsible for some of it.
You absolutely are. We'll get back to that, but let's talk about little Marc Guggenheim. So your dad gives you this 8-track.
Yes.
You are now excitedly a fan of Billy Joel. What is the first Billy Joel record that you buy yourself?
The first one I think I actually bought myself, I actually stole by mistake. There's an explanation. So this was 1986, and I was in a Sam Goody, and I was flipping through, again, look it up, there were these things called 45s, and I was flipping through these 45s, and there was the new single by Billy Joel called Modern Woman that was actually written for the Ruthless People movie with Danny DeVito. And I was so excited about it, I ran out of the store to ask my parents if I could buy it. And looking back on it, I'm like, I'm 15 years old. I can decide whether or not I want to buy something. But that wasn't the way it worked in my family at the time. So I ran out of the store, but I ran out of the store with the 45 in hand. And then I went back in and I paid for it. But I was so excited because this is this is obviously pre-internet. This is like pre-society. I didn't know there was a Billy Joel single coming out. There's no Twitter telling me about this. So just seeing it, it's like finding gold. It was like finding buried treasure.
What was it about his music that drew you to it? Was it the lyrics? Was it the piano? I mean, can you just a vibe that you got? What was it?
It's funny. I don't know, and I've asked myself that question a lot. And I think it's a combination of two things. First of all, it's I think like anything, it's when you happen to catch it at whatever moment in life you're in. But also, I've always been a kid. I grew up, my parents would always take me to Manhattan, and we'd go to Broadway, and I grew up on Broadway shows. I grew up on show tunes. And I lived, relatively close to a place called Westbury Music Fair that also had a lot of musicals and stuff. And, there's something inherent in Billy Joel's music that is very Broadway, that's very show tuney. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing that kind of spoke to me. Mm.
Do you have a favorite song, or is that too impossible?
Yes, I do. No, actually, I do.
Okay, all right.
Down Easter Alexa. So my dirty secret is that there are very, very, very few Billy Joel songs that I listened to the very first time and liked. Ooh. Usually it requires me multiple listenings to actually like the song. But Down Easter Alexa, the moment I heard it, I was so moved by it. I don't know, the plight of this guy who has to leave his family in order to support them. I don't know, it got me in the feels. And I just love that song, profoundly.
That's one of the epic ones. That's that it stands alone in his catalog for sure.
It's funny. What I love about that song is that it's aged so well. It's one of Billy's favorite songs. But when it first came out, it was released as a single, but didn't do that well. And but it was in subsequent years, it sort of grew in stature, and he started playing it more and more live, that I think it became a thing.
And for those of us, myself included, who are not fully immersed in the Billy Joel universe, as it were,
I'm logging on.
Right?
Good job, David.
Where is this like in his career? Like just
this is actually towards the end. This is his penultimate album, Stormfront, in 1989.
Yeah. That's when I saw him at the LA. I saw him at the Forum that year.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very, very cool. I was not out in Los Angeles at that point, so I saw him for the Stormfront tour. I saw him on Long Island at Nassau Coliseum. I saw him in Albany, where I was going to college at the time, and I saw him at the Meadowlands in New Jersey.
I only saw him once, and it was a bucket list item, and it was last year, and it was.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. I had to drive to Arizona.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It was with Stevie Nicks. Yeah, and I wanted to see both of them so badly, and it was quite an adventure. I'll never forget it because it was my first time taking my electric vehicle that far, and all sorts of things happened.
I respect that.
I thought maybe I might just wind up living in Arizona for the rest of my life because I couldn't get back. But needless to say, he just blew me away with how amazing he was. It did not disappoint at all.
Everyone says that. Honestly, everyone says that, even people who are not fans of his and I will say he's a great live performer, and he really he leaves it all on the field, as it were. When I was a kid, when I was 16 years old, I saw my first Billy Joel concert, and he was climbing up on the raft, the cables, he belly flop onto the piano. He was he was running all over the place. Really just giving his all. It's kind of impressive.
Wow. All right. Wow.
What venue was that?
That, when I first saw him, it was actually Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
And the concert started late because the Mets won the pennant that year by beating the Houston Astros. And I cannot put into words what it was like to leave Madison Square Garden that night. New York was this was the launch of the Bridge Tour, and the Mets won the pennant, and literally the whole city was electrified. And outside Madison Square Garden, and to this day I regret not buying it, there was a guy selling a shirt with the Mets on the front and Billy Joel on the back. And it was the most quintessentially New York moment of my life. Again, very, very, very special. I had the worst seats ever.
What makes you keep going to another Billy Joel show?
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes it's my daughters. My youngest in particular is a really Billy Joel fan. Now I kind of go for the milestones. Mm-hmm. I went for the 100th career performance at Madison Square Garden, the 100th performance of the residency at Madison Square Garden, the 150th, and the final at Madison Square Garden. I go for the, I'm like a drug addict in the sense that I'm always chasing the bigger high. So I need to be in the first three rows. It has to be a big tour. I won't go for the Stevie Nicks or the Sting tours, or even actually a lot of baseball stadium tours, mainly because in those tours, in those gigs, he plays the greatest hits. And I need the album tracks. I need the obscure stuff. I'm very kind of picky at this point, even though obviously I go all the time.
Well, you're a true fan. That's what that is,
I am. I am a true fan.
And speaking of that, you mentioned Sting. I was watching the Shea Stadium documentary, and I was absolutely fascinated when they interviewed Sting, and he said that he was up there with the Police, and in that moment, as he was singing, he decided he was going to leave the Police as he was up on stage with Billy Joel. I just thought that was just incredible.
Crazy. What a crazy life these people lead.
Right? Oh, man.
Really? Can we talk about this? He's nope, I felt it. That's it.
That's total sting.
I'm sting. I do think.
Yeah, just on a vibe. Well,
Hey, speaking of those concerts, though, can we see that photograph?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
okay, so this was like in 2015, 2016. I was at Dodger Stadium and sitting in like the third row. And a coworker of mine took the following picture. That's an overweight Jewish bald guy. And that's an overweight Jewish bald guy. And as you can see, I'm very, very happy. And this woman next to me, yeah, I have no idea who she is. Everyone's like, "Is that your wife?" I'm like, "No, it's not. My wife didn't make the shot. I don't know what to tell you. I don't control these things."
I'm curious though, is your wife a big Billy Joel fan, or is it like a touchy thing around the house? You said your daughters are Billy Joel fans.
She feels a lot about Billy Joel the way she feels about me, which is, somewhat affectionate, mostly tolerant. It's one of my favorite photos.
Heck of a shot. I mean,
It's a heck of a shot. Yeah. It's hard to get, it's hard to get those shots.
Now, we've established that you're a huge fan, but is there like a record you actively do not like? Or is there a track on a record? Like, I love Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks, but there is a track that I always skip.
I never skip, but I will say, like, there's a track. It's like, I think it's the second to last track or the third. It's the second to last track on the Stormfront album called "When in Rome." It is just the cheesiest, corniest. It's just a bad song. It's just bad.
But you won't skip it. You'll just like persevere.
No, I'll listen to it. I'll listen to it. Also, you have to understand something. Like to be a Billy Joel fan is not to be a fan of anybody else. Like, Billy Joel is sui generis in the sense that, like, not since 1993 has there been an album of new material. So, and he's still alive. So, so it's not like, oh, he died or something. Like, so to be a Billy Joel fan, like, you've got to kind of like appreciate every single thing he's ever released, because there's no more coming. He's not like Dylan or Springsteen or Elton John. Like, this is it. This is what we got.
Speaking of that, so you had said previously, that you were responsible for partially some of his appearances on TV. So if we're going to go back to 2017 into the Arrowverse, and there was footage of the concert. Now, is there more than that, or is that the only thing that you?
Oh, no, the two times I've worked Billy Joel into comic books, but the two times I put him in television were that episode of Arrow that you're referring to in season 6, and then in Eli Stone, the first show I co-created with Greg Berlanti, Laura Benanti, who's like Broadway royalty. We had her sing a song, and I chose This Night, which actually was my wedding song. So I got Laura Benanti to sing my wedding song. It's kind of, it's kind of grotesque, but I'm proud of that.
All right, now we're having a conversation my favorite way, because we're really having like 3 conversations at once, because
Excellent.
Now that you bring your wedding song into it, again, it calls into question your wife's relationship to Billy Joel and how tolerant she has to be.
Yeah.
Like, this is a big decision, right?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. So I don't have a lot to offer. And so the number of things that my wife finds attractive about me, it's a very small list. But the thing I think that she found most attractive was she's basically like, wow, the amount of passion that this guy has for the things and people that he likes, if I can get like half of that, I'm going to be in pretty good shape. And I think she's always liked, I'm not a halfway kind of guy. I don't do anything really halfway. And if I like something or someone or someone's work, it really is, it's full throttle. So, I think she was like, maybe I can get like half this love he's got for Billy Joel. That's still a lot of love.
Is she getting at least half?
She gets at least half.
Okay, good.
She gets at least half. Most days she gets more than half, but the bare minimum she gets at least half.
Okay, that's good.
All right, well, we'll spare your lovely wife from talking about her anymore, hopefully on the podcast. But let's go back to the Thanksgiving episode. So for people who are not aware, who might not have been watching the CW, talk us through what happened.
So it's season 6 of Arrow. This was the last year I was running the show, which means it was the last year the scripts were going through my pen. And there was an episode that we had where basically, like, Team Arrow, in the 5th act, which is always sort of our action-oriented act, the climax, would have to, stop basically a terrorist attack. And it was originally written to be a terrorist attack during a football game. And I was like, as I'm doing my pass, I'm like, okay, there's no real football stadiums in Vancouver we can shoot at. It's the 6th season of the show. I know what's available. And also at the time of year and everything, and like, oh my God, the extras and the, even just fielding 2 football teams, like we're never going to be able to do it. So I'm like, it should be a rock concert. And just again, I'm at this point, I'm doing most of my rewrites during the weekend, and I'm basically just to amuse myself. I'm like, it's a Billy Joel concert, just for fun. And then everyone kind of like behind my back sort of goes and they're like, can we get Billy Joel? And the Susan Kent, our amazing music supervisor, was like, yeah, let me try. And anyway, long story short, they were like, yes, we're interested. And I'm like, okay, well, if we're doing this, then I know exactly the song I want, the concert footage I want, and I know that this concert footage is going to match this location in Vancouver that I had in mind for shooting this thing at. Like, everything sort of like fell together in this amazing way. And kudos to the other producers and to Season for, really for making it happen. I was just amusing myself over a weekend.
The song you used is No Man's Land?
Yeah, No Man. It's the first track off of the River of Dreams album. It is not a hit. But again, I like the album tracks, and I happen to really love that song. It's like one of my all-time favorite songs. And I knew that they had recorded Billy Joel's last concert, or the last concert really, at Nassau Coliseum, and Nassau Coliseum it's in Uniondale, Long Island. It's where I grew up. It's where I saw like my second Billy Joel concert. And most importantly, the layout of Nassau Coliseum, like on camera, looks just like this venue in Vancouver. It's like the same friggin' thing. I knew the concert I wanted. I knew the song I wanted. And I knew that the venue of the original concert, Nassau Coliseum, looked exactly like the venue I knew we would be shooting at. So it cut together like butter. There wasn't even a challenge in the editing room because it just, again, it's like, it's the advantage of shooting in a place for 6 years and also knowing Nassau Coliseum as well as I do. Like, it was effortless. And this thing that was like just this total lark became a real thing. And then for me, the highlight of the whole experience was Newsday, which is like the Long Island paper of record. Newsday published an article about it. And I was like, this is actually like the greatest moment of my career. Like, my work is in an article about Billy Joel published by Newsday. Like, I'm still thrilled. I have it, framed and hanging on my office wall.
That's fantastic. It's funny because so much of Billy Joel's career has elements of that full circleness to it. Yeah. He said he fell in love and he wanted to be a rock star when he saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. And then, there he is with Paul McCartney at Shea, and Paul McCartney hadn't been back to Shea since then.
Oh my God. It's so there's so many different sort of full circle moments.
Yeah.
And now it's time for a word from our sponsor, the one and only Mary Tyler Moorhawk Action Figures.
Mary Tyler Moorhawk Action Figures. Mary Tyler Moorhawk Action Figures.
Mary Tyler Moorhawk!
Eisner Award-nominated cartoonist Dave Baker's mind-bending graphic novel, Mary Tyler Moorhawk, is equal parts sweeping action-adventure graphic novel
and dystopian detective story
that weaves back and forth between worlds, touching on everything from corporate personhood to mutant ancient sharkmen to the meaning of fandom
And reality itself.
It's a show you don't remember and a book you won't forget. Mary Tyler Moorhawk's retroactive figures are available at the finest toy stores everywhere.
Mary Tyler Moorhawk, the action. Mary Tyler Moorhawk, the action figure.
I'm gonna get that!
Welcome back to the Superfan Podcast.
With today's guest, Marc Guggenheim.
It's funny, off of the Arrow experience, the Billy Joel's people said, if you're ever in New York and you ever want to go see a Billy Joel concert, he was doing the residency at Madison Square Garden, and let us know, we'll get you tickets and backstage passes. And I took my daughter, and it was so special. It was actually it was technically their second Billy Joel concert, but really their first, because I had taken them to the Hollywood Bowl the first time Billy Joel came to Los Angeles. And they were just too young. They fell asleep like 2 songs in. They say money never sleeps. Not true. Trust me. You spend the money I spent on those tickets. Yeah, money sleeps. So this was really their first time, and it was great. They got Chuck Berge, who's Billy Joel's drummer, drumsticks from the from the sound check. It was a lot of fun.
Have you met Billy Joel? Or
that is a good story. I'm glad you asked. I'm very glad you asked. Here, I'll show
I
you.
was waiting for that because, you're talking about the backstage passes and everything. And I was like, is it going to happen? Did he meet him?
Well, so the meeting of Billy Joel, this is early on. This was like 2002. My grandmother passed away. And I was, visiting with my grandfather, and he's a new widow and he's looking to fill time. And he's like, have you ever met Billy Joel? I'm like, no. He's like, I don't believe that. I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to write a letter to Billy Joel. I'm going to get you to meet Billy Joel. And I'm like, okay, sure. You know what? Writing the letter, that's an hour. That'll give him an hour, and at this point, it's a minute-by-minute thing. So I go into the liner notes of the River of Dreams album, and there's the address for Maritime Music. I'm like, there's your address. Go ahead. Anyway, 6 months goes by, and he's like, I haven't heard back from Billy Joel. I don't believe it. I'm like, yeah, it's almost hard to imagine. And for months, it's like, I still haven't heard back. I can't believe it. Anyway, 8 months in, I moved out to Los Angeles, and he calls me. Now you have to understand, he never called me. Even after long distance wasn't a thing, long distance remained a thing in his head. So when he called me, I was actually panicked. I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? What's going on? He's like, I'm fine. Just, I want you to call this number and ask for this woman. I'm like, why? She's like, just do it. I'm like, oh boy, okay, I'll do it. So I call the number and I ask for the woman. I don't remember her name. But there is a woman who answers the phone, and she says, my name is Jane Argentino. Can I help you? Now, I am enough of a lunatic that I know that at this moment in time, Jane Argentino is Billy Joel's right-hand woman. And I'm like, I'm Marc Guggenheim, my grandfather, and she cuts me off. She's like, you're the one with the letter. And so basically, she's like, you have to understand, we get 1 million letters like this, but your grandfather's letter was so moving. We had to share it with Billy, and Billy read it and said immediately, we have to meet this guy.
Wow.
And now, unfortunately, my grandfather didn't keep a copy of it, and they never got me the copy back. So I don't know what he wrote. I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'm very confident that he played the dead grandmother card really hard. At any rate, as it turns out, I already had tickets to see Billy Joel and Elton John at Nassau Coliseum. So that's when we arranged for the backstage passes. And I wanted to bring my grandfather, of course, but, he was at that point, he was just too old. He just wasn't feeling up to it. So I took my dad. And actually, if you can see my screen, this is the picture of my dad, me, and Billy Joel. And that's the backstage pass. So I go and I meet Billy Joel, and I'm so nervous. I'm such a basically a mealy mouth nothing. And it's not that I'm starstruck. It's if he was an asshole, I would never recover.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not an asshole. He could not have been nicer. And he made me so comfortable, actually, at the time. I was on Law & Order, and we were in prep on an episode called Maritime. And there was a one-scene part for a boat captain, and Billy Joel loves boats, at Chelsea Piers. And I'm like, I just got to take my shot. I got to ask.
Yeah.
And Billy Joel laughs and he's like, I am too busy pretending to be a rock and roll star. I can't pretend to be anything else. But years later, when we were backstage after the Arrow episode with my daughters, we met Steve Cohen, Billy Joel's long time lighting designer. And I said to Steve, I once asked Billy Joel to be in an episode of Law & Order, and Steve stops me. He's like, oh, my God, he loves to tell that story. And I'm like, I feel good.
I feel good?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it all comes full circle.
That's amazing. Speaking of Billy's people and back to, the team sport it takes to make entertainment happen. Billy is... I'm so moved that the story of his rights. Do you know that story?
Yes. Oh my God! It's an amazing story. It's
okay,
amazing.
Great.
So,
Mark, just set up again. I am the Billy Joel novice, right? Like
I'm clicking off. I'm logging off.
Yeah.
When Billy Joel started out, he was like any other struggling artist. He made a lot of bad deals at the beginning of his career, and he originally signed with this guy named Artie Rip, who literally put Rip in Rip Off. And it was a horrible deal. And basically Artie owned basically all of Billy Joel's music, essentially. Owned all of his publishing. And when Billy Joel signed with Columbia Records, I want to say the president of Columbia at the time was Walter Yetnikoff. Could be wrong about that. And Yetnikoff went to Artie Rip and says, you're going to sell me Billy Joel's publishing. And Artie laughed at him. And Yetnikoff was basically a tough New Yorker. And it's like, no, you're going to sell me his publishing.
This is happening.
And this is happening. Whether you like it. I mean, I've got people who, can persuade you otherwise.
CBS Records, baby.
Very, very, very tough. Very New York. And Rip did it. Sold the publishing rights back to Yetnikoff. And then Yetnikoff gave those back to Billy as a birthday gift.
That's the that is how many people are such a mensch that they give those rights to the artist.
It's amazing. I'm working right now on a spec. No one's paying me to do it. But I finally decided to do a Billy Joel biopic. One of the scenes in it that I've written is the scene between Yetnikoff and Rip. And it was a lot of fun to write, actually.
Right? As a creator, with rights being what they are, and we always have to, fight that battle.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's such a great story. It's so, look, I think over the years, the thing that I've come to love about Billy more than his creativity is just who he is as a person. And when I look back on when I met him, because I was such a blithering idiot, I never got the chance to really say that he's inspired me, not just as a writer, but also as a person. I conduct my life and certainly my business the way he's conducted himself. No one's bought me my publishing rights back, but
That's not your fault. That's just there's not many Yetnikoffs out there.
There really aren't. It's a good, example of time and place and people and fate and all those things.
Yeah. Thank you so much for going into that, Mark, because I saw an interview with Yetnikoff years ago, and I heard that story. And when David told me that you wanted to talk about Billy Joel, I'm like, oh, I want to talk about the Yetnikoff and Artie Rip story. Because it's just so rare,
Great. It's a great story, and and Artie Rip, on the one hand, found Billy Joel, and gave him a record gig when no one else would. At the same time, he also completely screwed up the recording of the record. That first album,
the Chipmunk album.
Yeah, the Chipmunk it was recorded at the wrong speed, and even when in the 80s when Rip tried to fix it, it still doesn't sound right. It's a great story. It's like who among us as an artist or anybody hasn't had something screwed up by somebody else, and had to live with the consequences of it.
If you were to say that one of his songs was your song, like a theme song of Marc Guggenheim, what would you have chosen for that?
Oh, that's a great question.
I mean, when you walk into the room and a soundtrack is playing.
Yeah, what are they going to play in my funeral?
Right.
This is a good question. This is the type of question where, I'm going to give you an answer. I will. But then I know, in the middle of the night tonight, I'll wake up and be like, no, it should have been that.
Feel free to email it so that I can put it in the Substack.
Probably I go to extremes.
Why is that? Just the
because I do. I mean, because I do.
I feel like it was obvious.
Like I said, I don't do anything halfway. I'm either perfectly right or perfectly wrong. It's probably I go to extremes. I'm someone of significant extremes.
So, what is the most overrated Billy Joel song?
Well, I won't say it's Piano Man.
I was going to say everyone's going to say Piano Man.
It's not. It's funny. This is currently actually in the draft of the biopic that I'm writing, and Billy Joel is the first to say it's not a song; it's a limerick.
Mm-hmm.
John at the bar is a friend of mine. He gets me my drinks for free. He's quick with a joke or a letter or spoke with someplace where he'd rather be. It's not musically a great song, and actually, I can play it on the piano, and I will tell you, the chords are it's a very simple chord progression. I don't think it's by any means his strongest song. It's iconic, but that doesn't mean it's good.
It's good for karaoke.
It's good for karaoke. It's good it's great live. With the whole arena or stadium singing the song and stuff. But generally speaking, it's not. By the way, if there's any song I skip over, it's usually that one and Just the Way You Are.
Sure, a lot of play. You like the album cuts and those songs.
I do like the album cuts, but even the only two songs I really skip over are Piano Man and Just the Way You Are.
Because you can pretty much hear those at random anytime.
Pretty much, and I will say it's funny. Just the Way You Are, Billy Joel did not want to put on the Stranger album. He was not interested in it. It was basically he wrote it as a birthday gift to his first wife, and he thought it was too schmaltzy. Actually, he tells this really great story about why he stopped doing it live. And he's basically listen, when you do a concert, you've got to take the stage hungry. You can't have a belly full of food in you. And by the point in the concert where I would typically do Just the Way You Are, I'm I'm thinking about dinner, and it's don't go changing. I could really use a club sandwich to try it and please me. Oh, or a hamburger maybe. Yeah. You never let me down before. Yeah, but the fries, they don't really travel that well. Ooh, don't imagine. But I don't know. Maybe if I just get the hamburger, you're too familiar. And by this point, he's lost his place in the song. And he looks to Liberty DeVito at the time, his longtime drummer, who would sing along, but would sing his own lyrics. And he picks up Liberty's lyrics, which are, she got the house, she got the car. And he's I did that enough times, I'm I gotta stop.
Given your love of the deep cuts in the album tracks, what would you recommend to me to walk away tonight and go and put on that will allow me to become more of a Billy Joel fan? What's the
I gotta say the Nylon Curtain album is my favorite. It's my favorite of his albums. The Stranger is his breakthrough album. It's the album that it has Only We Good Die Young, Just the Way You Are, and Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. But for me, his best album, his just from start to finish, is not the Nylon Curtain. And the Nylon Curtain is. It's the one where Billy Joel basically said, I want to create a masterpiece. He was very upfront about it. And he recorded it right after John Lennon was killed. And it's basically, each of Billy's albums has a very strong theme. Nylon Curtain is his Beatles album. So if you like the Beatles, and who doesn't, I think you'll really like the Nylon Curtain because it's basically like the 13th Beatles album.
We were going to ask, do you have wild piece of Billy Joel trivia to share? But I feel like you've given us like so many.
Yeah, what's a wild? Well, I will tell you. So like, not a wild piece of Billy Joel trivia, but there's in Billy Joel's catalog, there's only 3 songs where he shares a co-writing credit. There's the song that came out last year, Turn the Lights Back On, that he shares with Freddie Wexler and other people. There's Code of Silence, which is his duet with Cyndi Lauper on the Bridge album. But This Night, from the Innocent Man album, my wedding song, is credited as being co-written with Beethoven. And that's because the chorus of the song is from Pathétique. So if you listen to Pathétique and you listen to This Night, you will recognize it's the exact same notes. And it tickles me that there is, a song that Billy Joel wrote that he just wrote to a piece of Beethoven, which is, I think just sort of fun.
Yeah.
Now, Marc, we've actually got a little bit of a surprise for you before we let you go, which we'll get to in a second. But I think our last official question comes from Daniel Schulman, who wrote the Superfan Podcast theme song for his band Low in the Shag. And you'll get to hear that at a later date. But he wanted to know, as we were walking around, and he wanted to know, are you specifically like a Billy Joel fan, or are you really like singer-songwriter, piano? Like, where do you feel about Elton John, Ben Folds 5?
Good question. That's a really good. Okay, so here's my dirty secret. I'm not that into music. For the longest time, no pun intended. For the longest time, I really only listen to Billy Joel and show tunes. The problem is, as I've noted, that Billy stopped writing really in 1993. So I've had to kind of look elsewhere. I've had to go outside my marriage really. And the truth is, the funny thing is, David, I realized I do gravitate towards singer-songwriters. I really do gravitate towards people who write their own material. So my favorite people are Bruce Springsteen and Elton John and Phil Collins and Genesis. It's all people who, write their own stuff. I'm not interested in singers who are singing other people's material.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's I know it shouldn't matter, but it does.
It does matter though, because it's less personal when you're not writing the song.
Yeah. I like knowing that the singer at least had a hand in writing the song.
Yeah, that it came from them, from who they are. And not get me a song from some guy in Iceland, however cool that Iceland guy is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't know. That's kind of my thing. But I'm a very, I wish I was more musical. I really, really did.
It's funny you say that though, because you love show tunes, and Broadway is, there's nothing more musical than Broadway.
Oh, I know. It's just funny. It's I don't know. I like what I like, and I, don't, but it's funny, my youngest who loves Billy Joel, I keep saying, if your dream of being a Disney Imagineer doesn't work out, you can become a music supervisor. Her musical tastes are they date back to the 1950s. She listens to stuff from the 50s up to 2025. Listens to everything, knows every word. She has an eidetic memory where she hears a song, she can immediately recite the lyrics and everything. I'm you didn't get that from me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's a whole other level. I know people like that. They know all the KCRW musicians.
Yeah.
How do you even know that? You're like that. You're someone who has this crazy Chicano Batman. I had never heard of them before you brought them up, and all these other great musicians. I'm like, every time I go to your house, there's some other great playlist happening with people I've never heard of.
I am possibly musically obsessed, except for maybe Billy Joel. But I wanted before.
It hurts me in my soul, David.
Yeah, it's not that I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Like the three of you are a fan, which I find like an interesting. I like what I like, but I don't feel like I need to go any deeper into the pool. You know.
Totally good.
But I love this dichotomy between your love of this like very specific like kind of visionary singer-songwriter or show tunes. So because like I'm hearing this like you got to write the song or show tunes and not a lot in between. And I just find that like fascinating. I personally love people who do like really emotive versions of a song they did not write. Like I'm a huge Sinatra fan. I'm a huge Elvis fan, but I also love finding like obscure covers. Like, do you have a favorite Billy Joel cover?
Yes, I do. So there was a album, a Leonard Cohen tribute album called Tower of Song that like Elton John, Peter Gabriel, Bono, like really great musicians. And Billy Joel sang Light as the Breeze, which, when you listen to the original Leonard Cohen song, it's not that great, but Billy recorded this actually like right after he broke up with Christy Brinkley. And it is the most agonizing recording you've ever heard. He is like literally like opening a vein in this song. And it then got put on Greatest Hits Volume 3. But it is, to me, it's like, it's easily his best cover. It's not even a question.
We have a little thing that we do for each one of our guests that we have come on. And it's just a little thing. And so we wanted to show you right now.
It's up. Fantastic. Sharing screen.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. Oh, I can... there's something interesting about me. I can immediately just think, oh my God, my youngest is going to go crazy for that. Wait, I've never looked so good. Really, like I've never looked that good.
Yeah, when I shared the headshots that Gossett drew of the co-host.
Oh, you drew that.
My son said, I see you've all been rebooted. And it's
I like it. Thank you.
Or as Gossett, you like to say, you bring the vibes.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's the spirit of the person. My pleasure.
You made me look good, which is not easy to do. So
it's way cheaper than plastic surgery for all of us.
It's every time like I get into hair and makeup, obviously hair has nothing to do. And I'm always telling the makeup artists, I'm like, what we really need to bring in here is a plastic surgery. But alas,
or Christian Gossett,
or me.
Drawing likeness.
Gossett, baby.
Take care of it. So the other surprise is every episode of the Superfan Podcast is accompanied by at least one recipe. So I'd like to have a cocktail recipe. So
yes, that's so appropriate for me.
There's the refrain: bottle of red, bottle of white. You're drinking a glass right now.
Okay. Yes.
That's a glass of wine. That's a bottle of wine. That's not a cocktail. That's not going to be fun. So instead, tonight's cocktail is the loneliness cocktail, which is inspired by not your favorite Billy Joel song, Piano Man, where they're sharing a drink called loneliness. So if you want to get the recipe for the loneliness cocktail, you'll have to do what, Kris Simon?
You'll have to subscribe to the Substack. That's right. And also there is another recipe because we like to pair our cocktails with desserts. And so whereas David Hyde comes up with the cocktail recipe, I come up with the dessert recipes. And what I did was I went back to Billy Joel's roots, which was Vienna, where it's inspired by his father and also his brother that not many people know about, which is sad because he's a composer and a conductor and and forever living in his half-brother's shadow. But so I thought Vienna was very appropriate. And so I went back into the history of Vienna and discovered that they're well known for their apple strudel. And so we also have an apple strudel dessert that, as you read the recipe, as we did for the first one, which you can find on our Substack, you'll see that's all themed out to Billy Joel. So
love that. Okay. So I feel compelled to share the trivia of like what that song is about.
Oh, please do.
So Billy Joel goes to Vienna to reunite with his dad, who left when he was really young, and they're walking down the street, and there's this old lady, this old lady who's actually like pushing a broom, literally sweeping the street, and Billy Joel's like, "Oh, that's horrible! Like, oh my God, she's so old! Like, she should be retired." And his dad's like, "No, you don't get it. Like, she has a job, she has a purpose." And here in Vienna, like, when you're old, like we don't discard people the way America does with old people. We give them, something to do. And so if you actually listen to the lyrics of the song, Vienna is a metaphor for old age.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I absolutely love that.
It's a great song.
Wow.
Kris Simon, I said we had one more question, but in fact, we do one more top secret question. I turn it again back over to you.
Yes, we do. So I'm going to ask you this one question. Yes, and you're going to answer yes or no. And I already know what the answer is going to be. So, but then we're going to stop recording, and then we'll start again. And we're going to hear your explanation behind your answer, and then we'll release that solely for paid subscribers on the Substack. Okay, so the question is, do you know Dana Mooreshead?
Oh, yes, I do know Dana. And
don't tell us why. Don't tell us why yet. We're going to stop recording.
Mr. Marc Guggenheim, thank you for being our guinea pig tonight.
Thank you for having me. Talk about Billy Joel for an hour? Come on. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, seriously, thank you so much for being on. It was amazing. I knew you were going to deliver amazing stories tonight and more trivia than I even thought you would. So
I'm a very pathetic person.
No. This is the whole point of this podcast. Is
you'll edit it out and make it interesting.
It's so interesting. That's why we love this topic. This approach.
That's great. I love this approach. I love this approach. It's fantastic. But this is great, guys. This is so much fun for me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So glad to hear that, Marc. Thank you.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. The Superfan Podcast is a production of Superfan Media. This episode was edited by Bryant Dillon with production help by Fanbase Press, who is a title sponsor of Season 1. The Superfan Podcast logo is designed by Criswell Lappin, whose design work can be seen at criswelllappin.com. The theme song was written by friend of the podcast Dan Schulman and performed by Low in the Shag.
And now, a word about our sponsors. Fanbase Press is the title sponsor of Season 1 of the Superfan Podcast. Media Award-winning and an Eisner and Harvey Awards-nominated comic book publisher and geek culture website, Fanbase Press produces new and distinctive works, as well as daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum and give voice to the themes, ideals, and people that make geekdom so exceptional.